toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Wow, my voice cracked when I said my own name. Did you hear that?
You're growing up.
I am. I'm a big boy now.
Because
There
it's
you go.
time to change.
Oh, God, yeah.
All right.
Anyway, Brady Bunch reference.
What a way to start the show.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. This is coming out a little late because we had some technical difficulties, but it may be up tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
Well, we don't
it
know.
shouldn't be out too late. A few hours. Yeah,
May not be late to you. But today we're going to talk about science fiction properties and I guess their effect on other science fiction properties, right, Todd?
Yeah.
Do you want to...
Yeah, just basically things that we like that I guess aren't Star Wars or Star Trek. But
Yeah, that was an important prerequisite
that
to
was
this
a prerequisite,
conversation.
and that just kind of how they fit into the bigger picture and
Yeah.
and their relevance.
You'll like it. Just listen.
Yeah,
And
we don't have to explain ourselves to you. Just
Yeah.
listen to the show.
Whatever. I mean,
just go with it.
with 370
And don't for a
episodes
second
of the
think
crap.
there's a plan, because
Oh, no, we actually texted earlier in the day. That constitutes a plan.
it does.
That's a full-blown plan. But anyway, hopefully everybody's still doing okay. Keep wearing a mask. Don't bring
Yes.
guns into the Capitol. All that kind of
There's
stuff.
a list.
Just keep.
We'll write it all down.
Don't be a freaking senator or congressman that's a piece of shit. All
We
that.
require very little of our listeners, but common sense is one thing we do
That
require.
is one thing. Yeah. Sorry to
I
be
guess
that way.
I wouldn't
but
say we even required. I think we just kind of hope for it.
we hope for it. Yeah.
All right,
So-
we'll go with that.
Let's go random. Barry, what do you got?
Well, I was a little disappointed when I read this, but Alan Tudyk has said he's confirmed he will not be in the first season of the Cassian Andor show.
Oh.
He said, and I got some quotes from him here, "They're shooting it now. I'm not in it. If it stays on the air and stories keep getting told, I will end up in there. I'm going to be in the show. It's just a story that the showrunner, Tony Gilroy, is telling doesn't involve K2SO until later on." He said, "I can't be too specific, but I can definitely say I'm not going to be in the first season."
That's pretty specific.
I know. That's
mean-
what I was thinking when I read all this. I'm like, very specific.
Well,
you know,
he's on
and-
this other
Boom.
show on Sci-Fi, so
Yes.
I wonder if it has to do with that.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
He
I
could
DVR'd that
record his part over
episode.
Zoom. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he can
Yeah,
do his
yeah.
part
what am I
anywhere.
thinking? Yeah.
It's just voiceover.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when they made Rogue One, he was literally on set with the stilts and the whole thing.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, I'm going to watch the show anyway, obviously. But I was
was
actually
a
looking forward to
big
that.
part of it.
You know, the dynamic between those two characters. So
Yeah. But
it is disappointing.
yeah,
I did record last night that Resident Alien was on. I did
me
not
too.
watch it. I don't know
Me too.
anything much about it, but
I like him, so it
Yeah.
looked like it could be fun.
yeah. Todd, what do you got?
So, some stuff is kind of coming out about Luke's appearance on The Mandalorian, and
Spoilers.
it's yeah. Well, hey, come on.
If you haven't seen it, you don't deserve to see anything. Go on.
So, anyways,
If you haven't seen it, he's talking about Luke Wilson, not
Luke Wilson
Skywalker.
appearing on The Mandalorian. We were all stunned. Apparently, it was not planned from the beginning, and it was something that kind of came up organically as they worked through it. And the people in the scene weren't necessarily told what was actually going on.
I did hear that, which is pretty cool.
And so, Katie Sackhoff, for one, said, I did not know who was there in the doorway because, it was just a stand-in. And I find that really, really interesting, which goes a long way to explaining how this was probably the biggest unleaked reveal in a very long time of anything. I mean, there was just no
true.
indication that this was going to happen, and they really kept this in the bottle well. So I guess it does make sense that it wasn't on paper for a long time before, and like I said, they didn't have a whole bunch of cast members who were talking about it. So
I
that's
wonder
what
if
they've
it's
got to do in this day and age. Maybe that's what they've got to do. I was pretty happy with it, and
I wonder if it's because it's a TV show, and B, most of it's filmed in that enclosed, more so than even a soundstage. It's that the volume that they can do, because the whole Baby Yoda thing never leaked either.
No, and
they've been good at keeping.
They've done a really good
secrets.
job with it. They've done better information security than they have on the films, and
For sure.
And there's still a lot of interest on it online, and a lot of people looking for stuff. And I also think there's probably I don't know, I want to call it like the John Boyega effect, but I think Disney probably has done a lot of coaching now with people about not saying things. I think
they call that the David Prowse effect.
Yeah, but
It goes
they
that far
relearned
back.
it, and
Yeah.
don't get out ahead of it, and let it be what it's going to be. So
Yeah.
But anyways, it's cool. It makes me think, like I said, that there's probably going to be more surprises, and that's exciting. So,
Well, part of it too is that they didn't do merchandising in advance of The Mandalorian hitting, and so many of the things that get spoiled on some of our favorite franchises come from merchandising that gets out before the show, or that gets leaked somehow, or something.
Yeah, there wasn't a Hasbro Luke and Baby Yoda set.
No, there wasn't.
Or there wasn't a Baby Yoda anything until
Yeah,
a year
that
after.
was smart. That was smart.
That was
Yeah.
smart, and there's a Moff Gideon figure, but that was really a full year after we saw him, and first saw him, and
Yep.
Though they are tightening it up, it makes me really interested to see what else we're going to see out of Hot Toys. Whether we're going to have a Bo-Katan, whether we're going to have
That'd be cool.
a few other things like that, because the Barry, what do you call the robot trooper?
The Dark Trooper. No.
Dark Trooper.
Yeah, it's
Dark
Dark
Because
Trooper.
that was so quick to pop up. So
Available on Fanboy for pre-order. Commercial soon.
Yes.
Dave, what do you got?
So, I think we talked about Buck Rogers a couple of weeks ago. George Clooney may or may not play Buck Rogers.
Interesting.
So Legendary's producing this with this Michael K. Vaughan or Matthew K. Vaughan or some Vaughan guy writing it, and George Clooney's attached. Now, one story says his production company's involved and he may star in it, and then another story says he's not going to be in it and it's only his production company involved. That's interesting. Now, he's
It almost
definitely
makes
a little
more sense, but
older, but I don't know. I don't know how I
he
feel
could
about
be
that.
in it without being the lead too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But
Dr. Hewer or something.
Dr. Theopolis. He's going to be the
Dr.
voice of Dr.
Theopolis.
Theopolis.
He's going to be Dr. Theopolis. I'm guessing there isn't a Dr. Theopolis. So that could
Probably
be
not.
interesting.
Probably not.
I don't know how I feel about that. But, hey, a big name like him, despite his last movie not being really great, for me anyway, although there's Oscar buzz, I don't get it.
Because there's not a lot else to buzz about.
Oh, that's true. Him attached to it, does make it quite a
It does.
bigger deal. So that could be interesting. Does anyone have anything else?
Nah. I had something, but I'm going to wait and see if any more news on this comes out by next week to back up this thing I read today.
Okay.
Okay.
I had one
'cause
other
you-
thing, actually.
Okay, go for it.
So Titans, Tim Drake will be appearing on season 3 of Titans. They've added him, the third Robin, which is interesting. And the other thing is this guy who plays playing him, Jay Lycurgo or something like that, is also in the Batman movie, but they haven't disclosed who he is. So it doesn't make sense that he'd play the same character, because
that is
this is
interesting.
young Batman. There wouldn't be a Tim Drake in it, but maybe it's just a coincidence. But I haven't revealed who he's playing in that movie. So we got Batgirl or Barbara Gordon. We've got the Tim Drake. So I'm glad they're paying a lot of attention to this series. And hopefully,
I just want to see Nightwing really in action. So
we saw
yeah.
the costume and everything.
Yeah, I love Titans. I mean, I can't wait to see more of it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Don't know when. I'm also looking forward to anything Fanboy Collectible sells.
That's right.
The Mandalorian Dark Trooper Hot Toys is up for pre-order. There's also a pretty cool Gentle Giant Leia statue of her sitting in her
really
cell.
like that.
Yeah,
You know, I've been tempted all week to call and order that.
It's just, and I think it's just because it's like I don't have Star Wars statues. I have mostly comic character statues, but that's just got a really cool look to it.
It's just a different, not an action pose. It's sort of a different pose.
There's a kind of sadness to it too, where it's kind of like
and the face is done really well,
Yeah.
and it's an iconic moment in the film.
Exactly,
And it looks like you could put it use it as a bookend or put it on a
that's
shelf.
what I was thinking too. It's just like we might
that's
all
cool.
end up with this.
There's also a Willy Wonka statue, the real Willy Wonka, not Johnny Depp, is up for pre-order. But Pops and Kotobuki and Hot Toys and Sideshows and all that stuff, everything you need, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out online or their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the Regular Joe sent you. Todd, why don't you set up what we're doing next?
Okay, so basically, we're going to talk about 3 different sci-fi properties, and just kind of how what we think they're of another time, and what we think of them and how they hold up, I guess, to one degree, but also their significance in the kind of general scheme of things. And this is it's a genre that we have probably more of now than at any point previously. We've got some really, really terrific stuff. If you're not watching The Expanse, you really should be. But there's a lot of kind of precursors. There was a time when this was not a given that anything sci-fi was going to fly. And some of these things fought a serious uphill battle getting an audience. And so, but again, others became iconic and left huge mark, and rightly should have. So we're going to each pick one thing and talk about it for one reason or another, and we'll go from there. But chronologically, Dave, we should probably start off with you.
Okay. We've talked about this before, and I watched it the other night and texted the guy, so maybe that's one of the reasons we brought this up. Forbidden Planet, and we've talked about it before, 1956. Now, the 50s was full of sci-fi stuff. To me, this sits head and shoulders above all of them in terms of execution, story, series. There's a lot of fun ones, but this, to me, this is the blueprint for all science fiction that came after it. There's so many iconic things in this that we see throughout a ton of other stuff. I mean, the word blaster for a laser gun,
Yes.
hyperdrive,
Yep.
a flying saucer that wasn't this goofy flying saucer that we've seen in a lot of other stuff. A real ship. I mean, you look at the art direction. There's stuff. Lost in Space pulled stuff out of there. Star Trek, Star Wars, everything.
Yeah, Star Trek. You could really make an argument that could not have existed without this as a precursor.
Yeah.
Having an organization which was not explicitly military but had had ranks and all this. They're basically space explorers with within a hierarchical system. There's a lot of influences there.
Todd, when is the last time you saw Forbidden Planet from beginning to end, not just caught a few minutes of it?
Me?
Yes.
I probably watched it 3 years ago.
Yeah, I have not seen it beginning to end in, I'm going to say, at least 20 years.
Really?
And yeah. I bought the Blu-ray, and it's I keep meaning, it's on my short list of, ironically, when I have time to watch stuff list, I'm going to watch it, and I will get to it again. But and I love it, and I'm familiar with it. It's not like I've never seen it, but it's one of those things. It doesn't show up on TV very
It's
often.
never on TV.
It's never
Yeah.
on TV. You got to break it out and watch it.
Yeah, it holds up though. Still, I mean, we watched. Mark's going back to school, so we just got the movie theater thing finished. So we watched Forbidden Planet. We watched Alien. We watched Aliens over like everything. It was 3 nights in a row. So just wanted to like break in the room with the most important movies. But it totally holds up. I mean, it's something that, and there's things I catch every time. Like it's funny, one of the first things that the captain says, Leslie Nielsen, believe it or not, when he wasn't a goofball, I think it's like the time, mark the time, 1701. I'm like, did the whole number of, and I looked this up, and some people say it did, some people say it didn't. The whole number of the Enterprise is 1701. Did they pull that right out of Forbidden Planet? I mean, Matt Jeffries, who designed all that stuff, was a huge fan.
Yep.
I mean, even the transporter is taken like right out of their sort of little suspended animation thing.
Yep.
That they stand on these things. And you're right. There's most science fiction movies we saw, like it was a 2-man crew or 3-man. This had like 20 guys, all kinds of ranks. I don't remember seeing that in many other movies.
No,
this was an organized force.
And that's one of the things that Forbidden Planet is basically Shakespeare's Tempest. And when you take a sci-fi setting and you take something like that and apply it to it, it makes it work in a way that like it's not kiddie. And this wasn't a kiddie story. Okay? Yeah. Whereas a lot of sci-fi that came before this or there was shock value injected in it, or it was just, this was a legit adult story that was told for adults in a sci-fi setting. And they did very much the same thing in Star Trek a decade later. And, it just works in that way. If you treat it, like I said, if you make the movie thinking that your audience is going to be, 12-year-olds, it's going to be very, very different. And this had a very mainstream cast, and despite having one of the coolest robots in history, and is just iconic in so many ways. Let me ask you this: have you ever seen the colorized version?
No, it is color.
What's that?
It's color.
It is in color.
It is in color. It is in color. Yes. Okay.
You're just thinking about all the times you watched it on black and white TV.
I know it is in color. I'm thinking of like the retouched stills that you see from time to time.
Look colorized. You're right.
Those things, and it's just
like the lobby cards.
And it's like so wrong, and whereas it's just like you see it on screen, and it's like this is right, but it just seems like there's so many promotional materials out there that.
It's funny because when we were watching it, and I had showed it to Mark when he was a little kid, little-ish kid, and he's like, "Oh, it's in color." You think of this movie being muted, in black and white.
That's what I'm saying. It just seems to me that like when you see the colorized materials that go with it and followed it, and you were used to promote it, it just seems like they were worried that it was just too. I don't
think it would hold up as well if it had been in black and white, because the colors are pretty vibrant in a lot of the stuff. Certainly the house but there is a lot of it just. I don't think it'd be this like sort of movie that you think of. I'm trying to think like The Day the Earth Stood Still. Science fiction, but not really black and white. Even The Thing, those are a little earlier. Those are in the earlier 50s. While it's still iconic, this one stands the test of time, and I think because it was done in color.
Yep. I think a lot, like even the uniforms, though, we're so used to in 60s and even modern science fiction. I mean, you look at the uniforms on Discovery, and everybody's in blue uniforms or white uniforms, or all the Star Trek uniforms over the years of red and blue and gold. These guys are in like gray. I mean, they almost look like coveralls, even though I know they're not. But like
They
they're
were
in very
definitely military
utilitarian-
looking.
Yeah, that very utilitarian military look to it. So,
Yeah, and that is another thing, Todd. We have to dye our uniforms. They are totally the wrong color.
Yeah, I know that. Yep.
And I'm like, I got to break that out. That's a good COVID project. I've got to fix the collar.
Got to fix the collar. I think
And
you
they
need
have
to
to be
make.
dyed.
You just need to make a new insert for the top.
Yeah, I just want to make another row, and our pants are too baggy. The pants are definitely more form fitting, so there's extra material to screw around. I'll do it to mine, and then we'll figure
Okay,
yours. But
yeah, no,
I
that'd
think
be
you said
great.
you knew someone who could dye them because they're definitely not the right color.
Yeah. But
and while you've got the sewing machine out, I think we need Sandman tunics. You could make those.
I'm not saying no, but the funny thing is,
and while
there
you're at it,
is.
they make 3 girdles too.
Yeah, just make mine an extra large.
While black is slimming, it's not that slimming.
But the thing about that is, because in my head, or at least you think about it, it's basically a long sleeve T-shirt with a thing. It's not at all. It's a vest. It's like a skirt vest. It's if you saw, and Brian has one of them.
Yeah.
If you saw what it really was, you wouldn't wear it.
Yeah.
It's like a mini skirt.
So maybe
thing.
this is one of those make the idealized version of what we think
Yes.
it is. And
I think
not
if we had
what it
long sleeve
actually is.
T-shirts with the thing in front, that sort of totally conveys, and maybe
Yes.
we'll throw our logo on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we could do.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing the sort of dress thing with tights and little slippers.
I'm fine. I don't want to wear that. I just want something that looks like what I think it looks like.
Fair enough. That's a project. Okay.
Logan's Run is not one of the movies we're going to be talking
No.
about tonight.
No.
It's not.
As much as we all love it.
Yeah.
What is next? So anyway, if you have not seen Forbidden Planet, you go see it. Go buy it.
Yeah,
It should be
again,
in your
like I said, if
collection.
you've seen promotional materials for it, it's not what because again, like I said, that stuff is painted differently. I'll put with the stuff in this episode.
Do you have the metal box version of it? Because I have the I think it's the 50th anniversary metal box, and in it comes miniature versions of the lobby cards. Movies in the
that's
old
awesome.
days, probably 70s and earlier, used to have lobby cards,
Right.
like usually 8 things with almost little mini posters. I don't have the originals, obviously, because they're worth a lot of money, but they did have the mini ones. I'll take pictures of those.
Yeah, and again, but like I said, I've always found it interesting that like they didn't even trust the actual,
That's that's nuts.
what
It's
was
not
actually
even
in
the right
film.
color.
And if you look like in here, the guy in the background that the robot's holding, his uniform's green.
Well, and Leslie Nielsen there looks like Buck Rogers.
Oh yeah, no, this is they totally tried to glamour this up and make it look like something that it wasn't, and it's
This is a total not in keeping with the theme, but just holding that up made me think of it. One of the few things that I have actually owned and regret getting rid of, I had a reprint of the Forbidden Planet poster signed by Leslie Nielsen that I got him to
that's
sign
great.
in person.
Yeah, one of the
And I sold
Did?
it. Yep.
we were in
For
Rhode Island
shame.
with Brian, right? He got that.
He bought the
He got that,
Yeah.
that great
That was last year.
collection.
But
of
Leslie
autographs.
Nielsen was at one of the first Chiller shows I ever went to, and he was very old. I will send you guys a photo I have of him signing it, and he looks like he's in
I
his
didn't
90s.
even think I knew that. Did I know that?
I don't even think we ever talked about it. It was
I don't
way
think so.
before we started doing the podcast, and it was something I never framed. I had it in a tube forever. I said, I'm probably not going to frame it, and I ended up selling it, and I kind of really wish I still had
Yeah,
it.
I
That's-
kinda wish you did,
yeah.
too. So
But it was a reprint of the poster.
It was a reprint for sure. Yeah, I didn't have an original.
I'll talk more about that when we get to what's in the box, because
Okay.
it ties into that. But I would love to have that.
yeah, so would I.
So,
Barry,
what
I guess
do we wanna-
chronologically, you're up next.
You want me to go next? Okay. You know what? I picked Total Recall, and I'm talking about the original Total Recall from 1990. I've never seen the remake, and we'll talk about, I guess, why in a minute. But for me, this movie gets tied up in the Arnold Schwarzenegger series of action movies from the 90s, late 80s, and into the 90s, and I don't think it gets as much respect as a sci-fi movie as I think it should.
Yep.
I think it's a great science fiction script. I think it's a great science fiction premise. I think they pull it off really well. I think there's a lot going on in this movie. I think if you're not really paying attention, and I think it takes a couple viewings to really make your own decision about whether this story actually happened or whether this story was really the implanted story that he went to the company to get implanted in his head. I think the director has definitively come out and said what it is, but it's got everything going for it. It's got a great script. It's got the great John Saxon.
It does.
It's got Sharon Stone
does?
at her absolute
Does that-
hottest.
John Saxon?
Yeah,
He's not the
John-
bad guy. It's
No, Ronnie Cox.
Michael-
Oh, it's Michael Ironside. God damn
Michael
it.
Ironside is the is the successor to John Saxon.
He's like John Saxon. They're
If
almost
it was
interchangeable.
John
Okay,
Saxon, it'd have way more. I mean, I
I
like
take that
it, but-
back. But it's got Sharon Stone at her absolute.
Oh my God,
Prime.
so good looking.
It's got humor, which a lot of these types of movies don't have. But it's not the over-the-top humor that I think the later Schwarzenegger action movies...
Running Man.
Oh, Running Man Running Man is full on.
Yeah.
Running Man is probably where it. I'm assuming it's after Running Man's
Yes.
after this.
This was 90, so probably,
Yeah.
And,
But-
and honestly, I think even most of the effects in this hold up pretty well given its age. And I don't know. To me, it's a really good story that it can get overlooked quite a bit because of Schwarzenegger. Now, in gathering my little notes on this today, here's something I never knew. According to the director, Harrison Ford was supposed to be the lead in this movie.
Yep.
Really?
And when that fell through, they had to rework the script a little bit to make it more suitable for Arnold. And that's where they actually infused more of the humor into the story than the original script would have had.
There's been disputes over that over the years where people have said that was what they told the director to attract the director, because other people have said no, he was never seriously attached to it.
That's interesting. Okay.
But it would have been a completely different movie. It just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a little more Blade Runner-ish, probably.
Oh yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
I think it could have been a much better movie. Not that it wasn't bad, but there's definitely this. It's definitely painted with this Arnold brush,
yes,
for sure,
without question.
But it feels like they showed some restraint with the Arnold brush, where other Arnold movies, they absolutely had no restraint whatsoever.
Yeah,
That's my
not
opinion.
off the hook Arnold. It's not like the entire movie is looking for a catch line and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Do you know who directed? The Running Man? Starsky from Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
Did he really? What year
Yeah.
was that? Do you have the year there?
87.
Oh, so that was
It
before
was. This was a Phil K. Dick story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, and Paul Verhoeven for has made some movies we love and some real stinkers, but he had a really good series streak there of RoboCop and this and Basic Instinct.
He
and
had of that era.
Starship
he had
Troopers.
that kind of. I will say these things look. They all look a little dated in their own ways, but they all are also forward looking in some ways, and yeah.
I watched the and I'm gonna pick this up off of Amazon this week. There's a 4K transfer that just came out for the 30th anniversary, and I watched the 4K trailer, and they didn't change any of the effects, but just cleaned up and sharpened up. It looked really, really good, and I was kind of impressed watching the trailer how tight it looked.
Years, so
Yeah, I'd say I haven't seen it in 10 years. I may have watched like 20 minutes of it not that long ago, like within the past year.
I just think of all of those movies from that era, that especially the Schwarzenegger ones, this was the most actual sci-fi of them.
I think so too. I think
so
you had
because
he
this
had,
is yes, and I think it was a lot less written around him than the other Schwarzenegger movies feel.
because he didn't need to be this big giant tough guy at all.
No, he was a character. He was playing a character versus
And he's a construction worker that gets this memory implanted of being a spy and a secret agent or whatever. and that's what you see is that character. It's not him being himself.
Okay, so what is the most memorable line from this movie?
Consider this a divorce.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Boom. Consider this a divorce.
Well, that and get your ass to Mars.
Get your ass to Mars.
Get your ass to Mars. Yep.
He's the easiest sort of impersonation to do.
Oh, totally.
Oh, he is without
Impression
question.
to do.
So, do you guys have an opinion on whether this was all the dream or all the implanted memory or not, or do you care?
I gotta watch it again.
I'd have to
been
watch
too
it again
long.
too. It's been a while.
Put it this way.
Watch
it's
it
been
again,
long
and
enough
then
that
we
when
should-
you said John Saxon was in it, I was like, he was?
Boy,
I
it
see
has
Michael
been a while.
Ironsides and I think John Saxon. They are very interchangeable in my memory anyway.
Okay. I will say those, while they are not interchangeable as actors, they're interchangeable in their roles. Because
Their
I will
foreheads are interchangeable.
Their
sort of-
appearance is similar.
Their
You gotta give me
hairline
that.
is
say,
very
but I'm saying it's
interchangeable.
like almost any John Saxon role, other than some of the very physical stuff, it's like you could just drop Michael Ironsides in, and it's just it's the same kind of grimace, kind of like
Yeah.
so.
Well,
Yeah, I have to watch it
it again at some point, and then I would love, whether we do it on the show or off, I'd love to spend a little bit of time talking about whether it happened or not.
Yeah, no,
I
What
don't
your-
think
what
I
your-
own it. I'll have to
What
look
you
into
guys think
that.
happened?
so.
I have seen the remake, and I don't know if I've paid a ton of attention to it. And I am trying to. I found the art the making of the movie was pretty well done. I don't remember the story. Kate Beckinsale's in it. She
I
plays.
watched
Sharon
the trailer
Stone part.
today because I wanted to just familiarize myself with it, and again, because I've kind of purposely avoided it, just because
Yeah.
I like the original so much. I felt like there was no reason to remake it, and I don't know what more they could have done with it. And from what I
Yeah.
read, there's less humor in it than there was in the
Oh,
original.
there's totally less humor.
Yeah.
I'd have to see it again to make it an opinion. I was really just anything Kate Beckinsale's in, I'm okay with. And
the
I think-
trailer, I mean, visually looked great.
I was sitting here thinking exactly. I was like, yeah, you only watched it for Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Well, it's Jessica Biel's in it too.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of eye candy in it. Yeah.
Of course, her ex-husband directed it. Who has done good stuff. I like Len Wiseman. I mean, he did the original those vampire movies she was in. He's done some other good stuff. That's what sort of
To me,
attracted
if you're going to take a movie that's not that old in the first place and remake it, you've got to bring something really great to it to like give it a reason to remake it.
Oh,
And
it's that old. I mean,
It was
what year did they
22
remake it?
years.
yeah, it's 22 years really.
No, 20 years is the remake cycle. It's basically a generation. It's
Unless it's Spider-Man, and then it's weeks.
yeah.
But it's still there should be a good reason to remake it other than just putting attractive young actors in it,
yeah.
or maybe not. Maybe I'm not thinking like a Hollywood exec.
Yeah. He was on a streak, too, when he did that. He did Underworld, which I think is very good. He did the sequel, which is okay. Live Free or Die Hard, which I thought was a pretty good Die Hard movie. Then he did this Total Recall. And then he did a bunch of television. So that tells you a lot.
The other thing I read, one of the criticisms that people had of the remake was that most of it takes place on Earth. So,
Oh, yeah.
But
Well, those
I don't know, maybe I'll watch it at some
locations are
point.
Just getting expensive. So
I don't
I
think
guess
it's
so.
horrible. I don't think it's I don't love Colin Farrell or
yeah.
there's something about him that just doesn't. He was excellent in Daredevil. Other than that, Todd hates that movie so much.
Let's just step back a little bit. Nobody was excellent in Daredevil.
Jennifer Garner was.
Jennifer
and
Garner
don't say
looked
anything.
excellent.
Honestly,
Jennifer
looked good.
Garner was great in Daredevil.
she was grossly miscast, and she
Oh
Like-
my God, she looks so good in that movie.
she unlearned how to act for that film. Yeah. So.
her not acting was her acting more than most of the other people in that film.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question about that. But it's the film's a travesty.
Is Favreau the guy in it? Is Favreau Foggy, or was it? It was Favreau.
God,
was-
I have not seen that in forever.
He was foggy in that. Yeah.
I have 2 copies of it.
I have 2 copies of it as well. One.
I have zero copies.
Someone gave me that as a gift. The director's cut as a gift.
Yeah,
It's still
Pam
shrink
bought
wrapped.
me the director's cut, and not knowing I had the original cut.
It
so
is still shrink wrapped. So
I'm gonna watch those when we hang up.
at some
That's
point,
aw-
I'll
those
need a
are
drink
awesome.
coaster, and I'll take it.
Dave, this is why you built the theater.
Yeah.
I only wish you guys
Okay,
could
you know
come
what?
and
Let's
watch.
do this. Let's make each other rewatch a movie. Okay, and one of you can make me watch Daredevil because I
As long as I already watched Willow, we can't go down.
know what
that
you're gonna
road.
make me watch.
No, it's got to be something that you see. You hadn't seen Willow. It's got to be something you would never. We know. Barry and I know.
I know what you're gonna make me watch again.
What's that?
The last fucking Terminator movie.
That movie's good.
I think Barry watches. Wait a minute. Barry watches Dark Fate. I watch Daredevil, and Dave, you watch.
Not Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
I've actually we watched it for the show.
What
so
about make him watch Batman '89?
I just watched. We watched that for the show too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
What do
What
I
else did he
hate?
hate?
Batman.
I don't know. Just pick a random movie.
I don't mind
directed by-
Batman and Robin. I just watched half of that on TV
my
the other
God,
day.
it's terrible.
I mean, not that I don't mind. I mean, it's not a disgrace to its predecessors the way.
We'll make him watch Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, I wouldn't like. I've never seen it though. It's
It's
got to
got
be a
Tim Burton
rewatch.
and it's got animation. It's got 2 strikes against it for
We got
Dave.
to come up.
We'll come up with something. We're going to come up with something for Dave. So.
You want to know? I was flipping through Amazon Prime the other day, and I noticed in the included with Amazon Prime was Dark Fate, and I thought maybe I should give it a second chance because I hated it so much, but I didn't pull the trigger.
I haven't rewatched it. I've only seen it on the plane, and I will watch it again.
I've seen it 3 times. It's
Oh
amazing.
my god!
It's the only Terminator movie I've ever only seen once,
And
and that includes
Oh, wait,
some
whoa,
pretty
whoa,
shitty
whoa.
movies.
Genesis is
you
much
need to watch
worse.
it absent the shock of what occurred. Okay? Because I
Maybe.
think that just puts you off. And
Oh, it
You
did.
gotta
It
put
ripped
your
me out of it.
misplaced love for Eric Furlong or whatever his name is,
Furlong,
Edward
yeah.
Furlong,
and
out of your
but I'm
head.
saying with that, knowing that's going to happen, just take it in for what it is. I'm sorry. It's like it's a good movie. I don't want to start down.
Genesis and Salvation
like-
are much worse.
I've seen Salvation a dozen times.
Oh my god, it's horrible. You just have a Bryce Dallas Howard.
It's
thing,
not
even though she's
horrible.
in
It's
it.
not horrible.
Well,
It just
You have all these.
I want to
guns
see the
because
rest
you're-
of that story.
You have all these guns because you were planning for this. This to happen one day. Yes, and it's Texas. it's great. It's like I'm never gonna fucking call you Carl.
I'm like the one guy that's still waiting for the sequel to that movie to see what happens next.
Yeah. You can call me Carl. I'm never gonna fucking call you Carl. It's so good. It's awesome. Awesome.
All right, maybe.
You know what I can't watch is Alien 3. Me and Mark watched
Oh, God.
Alien and Aliens, and he's like, "What's Alien 3 is so creepy and so bad and so just wrong."
But Dave,
That's-
have you? And I know we've had this conversation. The director's cut fixes a bunch of that.
I haven't
Barry,
seen that.
Barry,
No.
You have this. You were like the guy for the director's cuts. I think you made that argument with like 5 different films, and I've done that. I've gone down that road twice, and both times I've been like, it still sucks.
When we did the Alien
You
franchise
got
and
me
we
to
watched
watch
all of
Batman
them,
versus Superman a second
We didn't
time.
watch all of them, did we?
we did. We watched all the Alien movies.
You may
didn't we?
have. I didn't
I
go
did.
back and watch them. Wait, is there a director's cut in the? Do you have the box set?
Yeah, it's in there.
Because I showed Mark both the theatrical versions of these Alien and Aliens. While I think the Aliens is too long, the director's cut. I don't know that it actually adds anything, and I don't love the whole Ripley's daughter. I think that's
You know what?
kinda stupid.
I watched Aliens with Joey for the first time, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we watched the director's cut version. It's only like 5 minutes longer or whatever, but
I don't know that it adds anything though. Like the whole daughter thing is sort of just misplaced. I feel.
and to me, it completely sets up why she cares so much about Newt.
Well, she's a human being. I can get it. I mean, she
Yeah,
has no
but-
life. She lives with a freaking cat in a one-room apartment. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Well, but anyway,
She's
you know,
too light.
Alien 3 is a David Fincher film, and it got taken away from Fincher, and the director's cut is Fincher going back and re-editing it into the story he was going to originally release, which is a much better movie.
I'll
Not
try
to
to
say
watch that.
it's not to say it's a good movie. It's way better than the theatrical release.
I just find that movie so creepy. Anyway, we are totally off.
We're way off the
He's well
rails.
off the- yeah.
But that's
Todd, bring it home with your pick.
Okay, so mine is for two reasons this week, and one of them is that an actress named Mira Furlan passed away this week, or just recently, and the thing she's probably best known for is Babylon 5. If you didn't watch Babylon 5, she was Danielle Rousseau on Lost.
That's
okay?
what I know her from, yeah.
And that's what a lot of people will know her from. She was Czechoslovakian. She left. She was actually a well-known actress there. She left the country in the middle of its civil war, and it was it was very, very interesting casting when she was added to Babylon 5 because she brought a lot of that with her, and the she actually had a lot of conversations with J. Michael Straczynski, who actually integrated some of that, some of what her personal experience was into the storyline. Babylon 5 is also now on HBO Max. They have it's just undergone kind of a remastering process, which was very fraught and problematic. They've been talking about it for years. There are some things that can't be quite remastered. I mean, this is a show from the early 90s. It's definitely got that look to it. It was done on a very sparse budget. You need to look at this show for totally through the lens of the storytelling. And that really starts in the second season. There's a few things in the first season which are okay. The first season was really about selling it to syndication and making what they had to do, the compromises they had to get the show running. But seeded in that first season are a lot of elements that they pick up and run with through. This is really probably the first thing that was made with threaded and deep threaded storylines, which would continue with the through line through all 5 seasons. A lot of things done since then. Lost, as we mentioned, Babylon 5 kind of picked up and did the same thing. No one has ever dropped the breadcrumbs like he did in the course of this series and picked up and paid off on almost everything. One of the things that I've always loved the show. I watched it at the time. It was which was a challenge because it kept getting moved around because of different syndication deals. But some of the best written sci-fi on TV ever. And like I said, you got to look past the very 90s feel to it, but the stories are fantastic. It is also kind of Shakespearean in the way it plays out. One of the things that I would say to watch for if you do, and again, give yourself kind of ease through that first season, but knowing that it's going to get dramatically better later. But the show is kind of littered with premonitions, and most of them are not good. And everything that is laid out there is paid off. Everything is tied together brilliantly by the end, and nothing is what you anticipate. So there's all these dark kind of predictions, and everything comes to pass. Nothing is exactly what you think. For a sci-fi series, I don't think there's ever been anything where through the 5-year arc, the characters have transformed as much as they have in this. I mean, you move people from being powerless kind of representatives of a fallen empire to being a despot, and someone who's the kind of the standard bearer for a very warlike race sees people decimated and undergo a complete transformation, and it's very real and very believable. It's cool. It's really good. If you want it, there's 100 and 10 episodes. There's also 6 movies, which you can take or leave. It's like I said, if nothing else, it's an incredible writing triumph for Shalinsky, who wrote 44 episodes over 2 seasons, which no one has ever done, no one will ever do again. It's absolutely incredible. But the other writers credited in the series include David Gerrold, D.C. Fontana, Peter David, Neil Gaiman, Harlan Ellison. I mean, there were serious heavyweights in here when others were brought in. And there's some really, really terrific storytelling. And it is cleaned up. It looks a little bit better than it did, it has in previous releases.
So you took a look at the remastering?
Yeah,
just
I
to see
did.
what it looked
I watched certain things, and it's like I said, there's just a great story embedded in there, and it's really at the heart of it is it is a struggle of good versus evil, and that struggle never happens without blood being shed, and really it's for the right to happen, good things have to happen. Bad things have to happen to good people, and we see a lot of that. And it's, again, like I said, I love it. And I was a little worried about going back and rewatching it. I watched a couple episodes yesterday, and whereas, like I said, it's of its era. You got to look at it in terms of storytelling, and so
I've been
I
picking
would
up a
encourage
bunch
anyone
of
who hasn't seen it to watch
say
it.
that. Yeah. I haven't really watched. I've watched maybe half a season.
Yeah.
But
it's the first, like I said, the first season is tough. But there's a lot of depth.
And I remember trying to watch it when it debuted, and I just couldn't get into it.
One of the things that made it hard back in the day was, again, they kept moving around. It was available in different markets, and because they had kind of up and down syndication deals, it was never certain that it was going to be finished, and it was.
No, it was on concurrently with one of the Trek series, right?
Deep Space Nine probably lifted a lot from this, and there was a lawsuit. It never went anywhere, but he pitched this show to Paramount. He gave them the Bible for this show, and there's a lot of commonality here, and if you just look at on the level of the story, it's head and shoulders above what at least the early Deep Space Nine. But like I said, you got to look at this as its own thing. And
no, but my question though was that when it was airing first original run, with DS9 was also on the air, right?
No, it started after it started. So
what was TNG on when this was? Because I seem to remember it running at the same time as
yes, it ran the same
Star
time.
Trek.
It overlapped both of those, yes.
And that was why I think I had a hard time getting into it, because I was probably comparing it too much and not getting the
also,
production
you can
value
play
from
like
Trek.
Star Trek. You can play Next Generation Bingo watching the show. There's a ton of like guest actors that appear in both. If they were a Vulcan or a Klingon, either in the original series or they showed up in the show, and that's it's kind of interesting.
in 94 it started. So when was Trek? Trek was
Started in
87.
87
It ended
88.
in 94, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I have the first season. Yeah, I think you also made me buy Farscape, which was even harder to watch.
Farscape's a different thing altogether. But
Well, I was starting to say before, like I've been picking up on a lot of old Trek episodes, and God, I pay for CBS, so why I don't just go there and watch them? But I've been watching them as they've been broadcast in reruns at night, and like in the last couple days, I saw the premiere episode of DS9. Last night, I watched the episode of Enterprise with the Tholians, and where everybody's like, you know,
yeah.
I've been watching a bunch of that.
Everyone's
And
in their shorts in the little decontamination chamber
yeah.
in their underwear.
So, like, so much of this stuff is of its time. Even watching that first DS9 episode, which I got to be honest, I enjoyed more watching it today than I enjoyed watching it when it debuted. But, so much of this stuff, you have to take it in the time it was presented and with what the budget and everything they had available. But this one, to me, always felt like it was lesser than the things that were out at the same time. Like, it wasn't even as good as what was out there, and that's what made it harder for me to watch, because I felt like I was watching something even older when it was brand new, because it just didn't have the quality.
There's a little bit Todd
just-
is
we
so
just-
pissed about this.
We just
jumped
lost
off.
Todd. Wow, Todd's like, I will not listen to you besmirch my my show.
So, you know, my internet connection dropped. So
Yeah, we figured.
yeah.
It's all good. But the point I was getting to was it Babylon 5 to me when it came out already felt old just because they didn't have the resources, and I'm not referencing the quality of the story or whatever. It's just like the visuals it just didn't feel like it was even as good as the things that were out at the time, and I think that's why I had a hard time getting into it.
I will say, and the thing I would say with this is Star Trek, you can pick up any episode and watch it, okay? And there may be, out of 110 episodes, 12 or 15 Babylon 5 episodes you can watch standalone, but most of them are tied into the mythology, and the what's worth seeing is the mythology. And
Right.
and it's really it is, you know, it's Breaking Bad, okay? It's sci-fi Breaking Bad, okay? You can't watch 3 episodes in the middle of the 3rd season of Breaking Bad and have any idea what's going on. You've got to see the character evolution. You've got to see the and it is, I got to say, that is probably, I've never thought of that before, but this is like the sci-fi version of Breaking Bad. It is a single story arc that carries from the very beginning all the way through. It's bumpy, and things never quite go the way you expect, but you've got to hang on for the whole ride.
I wish it was like 30 episodes, not 110 episodes, because
I totally agree.
Well,
Well, there's a
more
list.
willing
Someone
to-
said there's a couple different lists of you could just watch these and get it.
Yeah. Because there are, like I said, there are some filler episodes because where they shot the whole budget on, you know, the bigger things, but it's like I said, I love it. There's you know, there's like I said, some bottle episodes and things like that, but it's cool. I'm going to rewatch a bunch of it, and you know, again, you know when you see, I mean, there's a lot more tighter shots and things like that, and boy, the costumes are very of the 90s. You know, that's pretty clear. But again, if you look at it from the story aspect, it is one of the best science fiction stories told, and
That's, I think, what get lost on people like us who haven't really sort of
Given
taken
the
it all
time,
in
yeah.
and watched it. But
Yep.
yeah,
So
we'll have to check it out. Well, we know Jim Bush out there. We know you love it, I believe. And so does Sean.
also,
and that's 3 of you.
And there's, like I said,
Cool. So check all. If you haven't seen all those things, check them all out. Because
Yeah, I think I'm
They
watching
are-
Forbidden Planet this weekend. It's been way too long.
yeah.
did you have it or do you?
I have
bought
the Blu-ray. Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried because I have 2 copies of the DVD because I guess I got the one and then I got the one with the thing before there were Blu-rays, and I was like, oh, I'll watch this, but I'll probably buy the Blu-ray. Actually, it looked fine even on a giant screen. So
Yeah.
you know, I'm curious, like something that old. I'm curious what it looks like in Blu-ray. So let me know. Maybe I should get it. But
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, you know, some of these, like even the Total Recall 4K Blu-ray is only $13 on Amazon. So,
Oh,
you know, some
really?
of the stuff you can get pretty cheap.
I
yeah.
would get that. I'll buy that. I don't think I have it. I gotta look at my list.
I went
But
back and looked to double check that I didn't already own it, and I have a DVD copy of it. I don't have a Bluray, so I'm gonna get the 4K
Yeah, I gotta look
Blu-ray.
at my. Thank God I updated my list. It's made things so much easier. I also don't. I don't think I have Predator. I got to get that because I don't think Mark's seen Predator.
Oh, I've got a Blu-ray that has Predator 1 and 2. It's a 2-pack.
That's
And I
that's
think
you
I got
only
it for
need half
at
that
Target
Blu-ray.
for
I was
like
just
$10.
going to say, because you're just not going
You
to get
don't
the
need
2
that.
a lot.
No.
2's pretty horrible. Anyway, so check all that stuff out. Okay, let's go. What's in the box?
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Todd, what's in the box?
Okay, so because I don't have enough Iron Man figures, okay, I bought these from a company in Hong Kong that I buy quite a bit of stuff from. They're really cool. They're essentially 1/12 scale, very, very well made Iron Man figures. I think it's ZD Toys is what they translate it to. Really nice boxes, kind of Hot Toys level boxes for little smaller figures that kind of open up with art on the inside. They've got a number of different hands with them, but it's a really good size for displaying. I've got too many 1/6 scale Iron Man figures, but so far they've got a Mark II and a Mark III and a Mark IV, and I gotta say, I don't have room for a lot more Iron Men, but I could totally see doing a shelf with a whole lot of these on there. It's like I said, it's a really nice scale. They're finished very nicely. If you, it's a lot nicer than like your average action figure, and they retail for about $35. And if you poke around on eBay, you can find them.
That's a good price, because even like those Mezco 1/12 scale figures, they're like $75, $80.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And whereas these, like I said, they're they finished really nicely. They look really, really good. They come with a stand. They come with like repulsor blasts that you can put in their palms and on the feet and whatnot. And like I said, really, really high end packaging for what they are for an action figure. And it's in most action figures you kind of break out of the package and throw the packaging away. And these display nicely. And again, you should look at. I'll put pictures up on the website, which was fully caught up last week for the first time in a while.
Looked good, by the way. I did check it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys took some great pictures. They looked really good. And yeah. Anyways, I like them. They're kind of cool, and I'll probably.
Have they done a Mark I yet?
They have not done a Mark I, and I would be. That's very complicated.
I know. I'm way too late to the party. I keep looking at Hot Toys Mark I's, and they're just too damn expensive. I keep hoping they'll reissue that one at some point.
Yeah, that was the first one I bought, and I think it might have been the second figure that arrived, but it was the first one I bought, and I have a first model Mark I, and I absolutely love that figure, and it's absolutely amazing. And the wires in the suit that are multicolored are painted multicolored. It's amazing. And so, yeah, I'd love to see it in this scale also, because that would be a neat thing to have. So we shall see. Barry, what do you got?
I ordered something from Etsy, which I'm not a huge Etsy shopper, but there's a lot of people out there making these, but I wanted this one, so let me just open it real quick. This is a New Republic Marshall badge.
Oh, nice.
From Mandalorian. And it's metal. And
Wow.
it's painted with the blue, red, white, and blue paint. It's shiny as hell, and it's heavy. I got this from a Etsy shop called Sold Out Swag. And their logo is like the Solo.
Nice.
I didn't realize I was ordering it from Shanghai when I ordered it off Etsy.
Oh, really?
It was
Yeah,
$18.
there's a lot of that.
Yeah, it was $18, $35 with shipping. So it was
Geez.
as much to ship it as it was to buy it, but it got here pretty quick.
Is there anything on the back or no?
It says, but these are trying times, is what it says on the back.
Oh.
But look, I mean, you could see my face reflected in how shiny
Yeah.
it is.
I wonder if someone's making those on the RPF.
There's a ton of people making them, and there's a lot of them in resin and stuff. I liked this one because
The metal's awesome.
It's metal,
you're
it's
happy with it,
shiny,
Barry?
and it's already painted. What was that,
is
Todd?
great. You're happy with it?
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. And the only thing is, because it's so shiny, is it's so fingerprint prone.
You don't want to touch it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I
I
need
would have
that.
ordered 3 of these if it wasn't that they came to $35 a piece with
Right.
shipping. But yeah, I'll send you guys the link
Yeah,
to
send
it.
us the link.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in looking into that.
Yeah,
Dave,
it's
if
really,
you
really
want one
well
of those,
done.
I'll order 2 of them because it's that's cool.
It's really well done, and it's got good weight to it, and so I'm happy with it.
That's cool.
Dave, what do you got?
All right, I'm sending you a picture. Look in your Instagram or whatever, not Instagram, in your
Text messages.
text. So I had sent you guys this, and Barry, I don't know if you talked about these on the show, but I finished the theater room. The last things I was waiting for was poster frames for I don't know if I mentioned this on the show, were 4 I was going to put 6, but I couldn't really fit them. I wanted 4 iconic posters of my most important films. And so I bought the same ones you had bought, or from the same company, HollywoodPosterFrame.com.
I had talked about them a while back because I remember talking about the fact that they sent me the wrong frames, and they were so good about getting me the right ones and not even charging me, letting me keep the wrong ones. And so I was raving about them from
their customer service. Yeah. But I had looked into them, and a lot. Not only you, who I trust, there's a lot of people on different forums we're on who were saying they're good. So I bought these. The thing that I'm really happy with them. I was going through. They're not cheap. I got the premium ones, which are a little thicker. But for the price, I had looked at a bunch of different things. We talked about frames.com or what's the thing we use? Framesbymail.com. Those were a little cheaper, but certainly not nearly. These things come shipped, all put together. And the thing I'm bringing it up on this, I paid extra for the non-glare plexiglass, and it makes a world of difference, especially when the screen is reflecting in the room.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see anything. And I originally had not done that. And the woman's like, "Oh, where are you putting these?" It is an upcharge, and it was not a cheap upcharge. She's like, I said, "Well, I'm putting them in a theater." She's like, "Well, you really should." And she sent me a dozen pictures of comparisons of non-glare versus regular plexi, and I'm so thrilled. I was on the treadmill the other day, which is at the other side of the theater. It looks like there's nothing in front of them. So I'm really happy with these, and they really make the room. So you'll see the picture, but so the posters I put up are Blade Runner, which is signed, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which is my favorite Marvel movie, Forbidden Planet, and then on the other side is an Aliens poster. So the other two things are Indiana Jones and Empire Strikes Back, which I'm figuring out where to put. But
is it the Aliens poster, the one that I have signed? Same poster?
Yeah, which I don't know if that's a great print of the poster. It's hard to tell because that is a reprint.
Yeah.
But it looks a little like drawn, and I think it's supposed to.
I think it's supposed to, yeah.
Yeah. But I did spring for the original Forbidden Planet poster.
Sure.
It was $25,000.
Yeah.
No. I looked up. I'm like, it'd be cool to get original. So they go for $25,000. So this was $16, a reprint. But
we're finally in our house getting close to the end of this renovation that we started literally a year ago. And there's a spot in our family room where I keep saying to Maria, like, a really cool movie poster, and I'm not saying a Star Wars poster or a Star Trek, but like maybe something old, like an old movie that we all both love, would be like it's the perfect spot for something like that. But I've been racking my brain to think about like what movie would it be, and we haven't come up with anything. So most likely something else will go there. But something like Forbidden Planet, it's such an iconic. Even if you don't like science fiction, it's like an immediately recognizable thing. And,
I think this picture, when you'll see it, we did paint the room, which is night and day, and I know we all talked about it because the pictures on the website were when it was this lighter color, and now it's dark gray brown called sea otter. It makes a big difference.
I'm so glad you did that, and I know I had asked you at the time, like, you planning on repainting that room, and you weren't sure.
You know me, I wanted to be able to get all the equipment in first, and then I figured, but it was not that big of a deal to take everything out and have it painted. I had guys paint it in a day. They painted both rooms in a day. So there's 3 posters on one wall, 1 poster on the other wall, and you know me, we have so much shit. I'm like, can I jam 6 posters in there? And I really can't.
Yeah.
And I even was like, I told Pamela, like, if you want to put one of your favorite movies up, I'm fine with that.
As long as it's Empire Strikes Back.
No. I mean, because, her favorite movie is like Baby Boom, which Diane Keaton's, it's a good movie if you like it. But I'm like, I wanted to be diplomatic, but she was like, no, it's fine. You put whatever you want up there. But, and I'll talk to you guys. I think I want to put Empire Strikes Back and Indiana Jones in the hallway leading into that room.
Right.
Just to sort of...
You should have coming. You should be like coming underneath it. You know, it's like coming attraction.
Well, we're going to talk about this on another show, and maybe I'll talk to you guys about it. There's a movie poster thing that I never even realized that people sell, and I'll talk to you guys. It's. I don't want to drag this show on too long.
Okay.
But we'll talk about it. So anyway, super happy. If you do have posters, check them out. Not a commercial, but Hollywood Poster Frames. This woman, like, I think she cuts all these things herself and does it.
I'm sure it's the same woman I dealt with, and she was amazing to deal with.
She's got her own business, and
a lot of as we've probably talked about in the past, some of the older movie posters are a slight different size than the newer movie posters, and I was ordering the frames for the older posters, and they sent me the wrong ones, and these things are expensive, and it costs a lot to ship because, like Dave said, they come assembled. And she was just like, just keep the ones I sent you by mistake. It's my mistake. And she sent me, the replacement ones, and she was amazing to deal with, and couldn't have been a better experience as a customer. So, I highly recommend.
Are you using the other ones? Or you?
Oh yeah, I had other posters that I was able to put. I had them in cheaper frames. I replaced them with the better frames.
Yeah, it's not easy to get a full-size movie poster frame. They're just not readily available. So, anyway.
Yeah, I think I've got 6 of her frames now in the house.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. All right, I think we have a quick last thought. Barry?
Oh, yeah, I can take it. I had texted you guys earlier today. I had seen on the news that it was the 35th anniversary of the Challenger disaster, I guess is what it's commonly called. But... it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but that's 35 years.
I know, it's crazy.
It is one of those things that I got to say, for people of our generation, it's just that thing that probably that thing that you'll never forget.
Because it's imprinted. Everybody was watching it because of what it was, and to have something like that go
for our parents,
horribly wrong.
It was the JFK assassination. The generation after us, it was 9/11. But this was it just was, it was just incredible. And it shifted, my worldview in a lot of ways, because I thought of NASA in a very different way prior to that. And it was something that I never entertained the possibility of either. I just,
Right.
There were so many missions.
It was,
But like they did in the 60s, thankfully that wasn't the end of the space program.
It wasn't. Ironically, actually, yesterday was the 54th anniversary of the Apollo 1 fire. So,
oh wow.
Which could also have been the end of the space program.
Absolutely could have been, the end of that program. And it's but again, just you think about it could not have been a worse thing. It was the first. They had made a commitment to send a school teacher up as the first civilian, and so virtually every classroom in America was tuned to that.
Yep.
And saw on live TV when they died. And I remember, and I think I mentioned this before. I had a conversation at the time with a coworker who was very cynical about it, and basically said, that she was the only one that anyone would remember, Krista McAuliffe, and I remember thinking at that point, I don't think that's true, and I will always remember these people, and I do. It's one of these things. I can't tell you who died in the Columbia, but Scobie McNair, Resnick, Jarvis Smith. It's like I remember the 7 people. It's like it's terrible. Ozanka.
It's terrible, but it's good that they.
But like I said, it's one of those things that's just kind of etched in our memories.
Yeah.
And terrible thing. We moved on to whatever degree we could. But I think, like I said, it shook our faith in a lot of things, and it's was a true American tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. On that note, next week we have no idea what we're doing, do we?
No. But hey, that was
But that
the case.
doesn't stop us. That never stops us.
We'll figure it out by then.
Okay, real quick. We started. We had a Brady Bunch reference going in. How cool was the house in last week's episode of WandaVision?
You know what's funny? It was cool that they had a lot of elements, but why not build the actual house? I mean,
and that was the thing too. But it was just so evocative of that. I just thought that was.
Oh
it
my
was
God.
Evocative
totally.
of it without being like the Dick Van Dyke house was exactly the Dick
The
Van
Dick
Dyke
Van Dyke
house.
was exact. The Bewitched was not exact, and then this one, I wonder if that's part of the story. Then this one was less exact. I wonder if that has something to do with something.
Though they did have, like I said, they grabbed just about every design element that they could.
Yeah.
And so
It's weird. Well, we'll talk about that more.
Yeah, for sure.
So, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
thanks for listening.
Now this is the plan. Get your ass to Mars.